Hey there, everybody. Good morning. It's your boy Choppadong, and I wanted to go through opening day MLB with you. Let's call this the lead off because it's basically what we're doing. We're setting the table, we're leading off for everybody else to come and win a bunch of money out there in the DFS world, whether you play FanDuel, DraftKings, it doesn't really matter. I am a lead coach and contributor here at dfsarmy.com and will always encourage you to become a VIP. Use the coupon code opening day, one word, for 50% off your first month inside, 10% off every month thereafter, and win money with all the other VIPs. You get the content, you get the tools, you get the coaching, every sport, everything that we cover. And we have research, we have leverage generators, we have strategy discussion, we have a track record from hell that will absolutely improve your game. And I'm going to show you a little bit today at where we might go for opening day, talk a little bit of strategy on the main slate. I personally focus more on the smaller slates when it comes to single entry and three max tournaments. The reason why, game theory becomes more important. On a big slate like this, ownership really spreads around. We've got a lot of sensible choices. Atlanta Braves, Minnesota, Cincinnati, whatever. You've got a ton of choices on this slate alone. Yeah, like what? 8 Cy Young winners going today, 8 former Cy Young winners going today. And that is going to create a bunch of little bitty micro differences between Corbin Burnes, Jacob deGrom, Max Scherzer, Garrett Cole, whoever you roll out there, he's probably a great choice. Because of that, ownership tends to balance itself out, spread around a little bit. It doesn't quite create the nasty chalk that we look to get leverage from in the industry. Smaller slates will do that, but I save the smaller slate stuff for my VIPs. If you want to be a VIP and get that advice, you need to use the coupon code opening day and get your butt inside. But we can talk a little bit about these bigger slates. And the thing that I like to focus on first is implied run total. Implied run total is simply just a factor of the money line and the game total. And if you have a giant favorite, it really is going, like if you had a 10 run total, that theoretically in a 50-50 game is 5 runs for you and 5 runs for me. But if you're some 3-1 favorite, then it might be 7.5 runs for you and therefore only 2.5 runs left over for me. The bigger the favorite, the more that skews. That just means that's the team that should win the game. Therefore, they should score more runs. The number that we're looking at isn't exactly some kind of a predictor of, they should score 5.2 runs today. And even if they did, the difference between 5.2 and 4.8 runs isn't measurable. It's not that big of a difference, other than the fact that it at least gives us some way to start ranking some of these teams and figure out who's maybe in the better matchup. But baseball is a weird game, as you know. It's very, very wonky, and these outliers happen all over the place. Baseball is not the kind of game where you can expect to put out one lineup and have a significant advantage over the rest of the field. You need to take high volume shots, lots and lots and lots of chances. You need to do it as cheaply as possible, as cheaply as you can afford to do without breaking your bankroll. And you need to wait your time, and I'm talking weeks and maybe months, because this is a long haul event. Lots and lots and lots of volatility. If you need more explanation about why that is the case, then you need to be a VIP as well. But today, I've created a little chart. It's the only time all year I'll probably do it manually. And I've set up a few things. I've set up all of our teams and arranged all of their implied run totals. Right now at the top, we have Minnesota, Atlanta, Boston, Cincinnati, San Diego, etc., all over 4.5 implied runs. Pretty good, considering we're squaring off against aces, right? Minnesota gets a washed-up Zach Greinke, who's just a token opening day starter in Kansas City, with the wind blowing out, mind you. Greinke's pretty good at dodging big contact, so that we might want to look out for. But Atlanta draws Patrick Corbin, who's also a potential train wreck waiting to happen, a 5.05 ERA last year, whatever the hell it was. And a lot of potential damage can be done there. Boston and Baltimore might shoot out. Cincinnati is in a hitter's park facing Pittsburgh. San Diego is facing German Marquez. German Marquez, I didn't look at his splits, but his overall ERA last year wasn't great. Granted, that's influenced a lot by Coors. And then you've got your typical Dodgers, Yankees, etc. Tampa Bay's in a good spot. These guys are all in good spots this opening day today. They're facing weaker pitchers, but they're still facing that team's ace in theory. And so overall, we should see a lower scoring day. And I'm going to give you a couple of tips how to attack that. Number one, you need team ownerships to come out on your optimizers, and you need to look at who everybody's playing. Oftentimes, on a day like today, I might look at this and say, oh my gosh, Minnesota, I don't know how I can get away from them. Everybody in the world sees them. Everybody in the world sees Atlanta. I don't know how I can fade that and make sense of it. Then don't, because you're not going to get so much ownership on those stacks, most likely, that it becomes some 30 or 40% owned team that you kind of have to consider getting away from. Probably 20%, 15, 20, 22%, something like that. In that case, you're still different than 80% of the world if you pick the chalky team, the more popular team. That's okay on big slates. You might not do that on a 3, 4, 5 game slate, but on an 11 game slate, you probably don't even need to think about ownership. So that'd be tip number one. On big slates, don't sweat it as much. You might look at it a little bit, think about what I like to do on the slates where ownership does matter is I like to fade those top few teams and then get down into the, Boston, Cincinnati, San Diego range, whatever. Tip number 2 would be field size of the tournament that you're in. Okay? The larger the tournament, the more risk you have to take to win it. The more people you have to beat, the more nutted your lineup needs to be. In the smaller field stuff, you can play pretty the chalk. If I'm playing some 20-man league, 100-man league, say 500 people and less, I don't even need to worry about these junk-ass teams down here, right? I don't need to take Philly, Chicago. Ooh, I love my Washington, San Francisco stack. I might as well light that money on fire. The chances of that happening are very, very small. Of it being, I need to find the best stack on the slate to have a chance. The best stack. Right? Period. Bar none. Sometimes there are 2 stacks that are close. Like let's say Minnesota is really, really close and San Diego is really, really close. However, San Diego has, like 8% ownership and Minnesota has like 25% ownership. Well, if the difference is negligible between the chances that these are the nut offenses, then I'm taking the lower owned one. That's what's going to catapult me up the leaderboard. Plus, I dodge most of the people. I'm not competing with thousands and thousands of people when my main stack goes off and I'm right because I chose a little bit lesser stack. I didn't give up anything in terms of the chances of it happening. I just ducked and dodged all of you guys that are monkey see, monkey do and going with wherever the touts say, right? All I'm trying to do is look for opportunity in there. And usually I find that opportunity down the list a little ways. So if I'm building in a smaller field league, under 500 person GPP, something like that, I'm going to be in these top, say, 10 teams like almost always. Almost every time. Because I don't need to take the risk to drop down to St. Louis or the Mets or Chicago or whatever. The odds of these guys being the winning stack are smaller and smaller and smaller the further down that list I go. Okay? And implied run total isn't the only factor, but it is a very, very good one and a very, very easy one. And as long as you're choosing from the same thing every day, it's going to have its good days and it's going to have its bad days. If you try to time it and say, well, I'm going to use implied run total today, and I'm going to use ownership tomorrow, and I'm going to use starting pitchers on Friday, and I'm going to use, flip a coin on Saturday, then you may never time it right. At least this way, by not changing what I do, I'm allowing the variance of the game to flow through me, to come and go, get hot, get cold, get hot, get cold. Shit happens. At least by not moving, I remove myself as the variable. So another thing that I would talk about is on a larger field tournament, 10,000, 20,000, 100,000 people or something like that. Yes, now these teams do come into play because there's a 1 or 2% chance that they can really smash the slate. That's okay. And you want them when that happens. If you're building 100 lineups, then yeah, you might want to consider a couple of percent, a couple of 3, 4 lineups on these lower teams. It takes away from what you're doing on the bigger teams, but you've got the opportunity to cover those bases. On a single entry or a 3 max tournament, you really don't. So you tend to play a little bit closer to the vest. And in the smaller fields, you can win with lower scores. Then you don't need a high score to beat 20 people like you do to beat 50,000 people. So you can play even closer to the vest and play the chalk even more. That's your general strategy for baseball. Let everybody else trip over their own shoes. Let everybody else overthink it. Let everybody else wonder what the magic button is. The magic button is simplicity, really and truly, and volume. Do it over and over and over and over and over and over again and wait your freaking turn. It will happen for you. Now, when we're looking at these pitchers over here, I've sorted their ERAs from last year, their K per nines last year, and the OPS against them. This is a big, big number. This will be in the research station as the year goes on. But Patrick Corbin, it's no wonder everybody loves Atlanta. German Marquez is a little sneaky one here. Everybody should be on San Diego, but they're starting late tonight. Blah, blah, blah. There's Boston for Baltimore. I don't know what Boston bats can do against Kyle Gibson, but Kyle Gibson had a 5.05 ERA. He didn't strike out a ton of people compared to other pitchers on the slate, and he's got a pretty high OPS. Puts Boston in a good spot. Puts Minnesota in a great spot. But if Minnesota is facing like the fourth highest OPS pitcher, yet Patrick Corbin is the highest, you should probably be on. You should probably be on Atlanta before Minnesota. And maybe you say the wind's blowing out and I like that more, blah, blah, blah. That's fine. That's all good. Hang on. Let me pause the video real briefly and let me come back here. I'm going to reset my timer so I know how much time I have left. Sorry about that. I need to see this little timer down here in the corner. I've got about 5 minutes left. So I hate that that hides now. But anyway, point is, when you're looking at these pitchers, we're looking to attack pitchers with these guys. I want a high implied run total, and I want a pitcher that allows a high OPS. Oftentimes they coincide, oftentimes they correlate, and that's why the chalk is so easy to find. Okay? Now, if I was looking way down here in these lower ranges here against some of these pitchers, I don't think that I'd be attacking a lot of this. I would stay up here. I would look again for overlap. Again, we noticed Atlanta. We noticed San Diego. We noticed Boston. We noticed Minnesota. There's Cincinnati. Cincinnati might be a little sneaky today. There's Baltimore. Baltimore and Boston might shoot out. There's Pittsburgh and Cincinnati. That game might go off in Cincinnati's ballpark, which is a little bit of a bandbox where you can hit the ball out, right? There's Detroit. Interesting that Eduardo Rodriguez has a 7.19 OPS against, and he's facing Tampa Bay. That puts Tampa Bay in a good spot. See, and these little bit lower guys down there, this isn't much of a number difference between the two. It really isn't. These teams have equal chances of exploding. So I would be looking for the lower end of these guys on a medium to smaller size slate where chalk matters. On a bigger slate, I take who I want to take. When I'm looking for pitchers, I might just shift this K per 9. Show me who had the highest K per 9. I'm going to use a number like K-score in our research station, which combines the pitcher's talent to the team he's facing and their propensity to strike out. I love that number. It helps me find, I look for that number, and I look for maybe Vegas odds, and I look for a price. And I try to find a difference between, if Jacob deGrom is, say, $12,000 and it's not a significant drop-off to Blake Snell, and Blake Snell's $1,000 cheaper, I might take Blake Snell over Jacob deGrom because it allows me to fit in some different bats and some different stacks. But what I'm looking at today is purely potential. deGrom's right up there. Is he healthy? He's missed a lot of games in the last couple of years, whatever. Snell's a great option. Ohtani's a great option on the late slate. Hunter Green is interesting because Hunter Green carries a very high OPS against. He's very boomer bust. He's very tournament-oriented. You might catch a good day because he's facing Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh might have a battle plan of we're going to put the ball in play. We're not going to strike out a ton. That may squash his numbers. They may get guys on base and blow him up. I don't really know. Neither do you. But Garrett Cole, Dylan Cease, Corbin Burns, Max Scherzer. How's Max Scherzer the 6th or 7th guy on the list? Shane McClanahan's also great. These guys all carry high ceiling K potential. And that's what fantasy baseball is about, especially on FanDuel where you only have to roster one guy. Any of these guys, you can pick from any of them. I might look for the cheapest in that top 5 or 6. I might look for the worst lineup facing them. I might look for a weather situation. I might look for a pitcher that has been getting a little bit more work in spring training and isn't coming in a little as rusty as maybe another one. You know, whatever the factors are you're going to look at to help break the tie. But generally speaking, we just want somebody with a lot of K potential. High K potential, low ERA, and a big win, number, money line favoring him. Those are all good indicators. Find those, take the cheaper guy, move on. Okay? Speaking of moving on, I'm going to move on. We'll talk more small slate stuff later today with our VIPs, but I wanted to give you at least a little bit of a dabble in terms of what we can talk about inside DFS Army with our VIPs, because you're going to want to be a VIP this year. You're going to want to get in here and get moving. Coupon code opening day. 50% off your first month, 10% off thereafter. Unlock everything. Put it at your fingertips and become a better DFS player on DraftKings or FanDuel. Baseball opening day, guys. Let's go. We'll see you out there.